the replay. So this is delayed. I was going to do this last year, but we kind of ran out of time, and I didn't ever get it all organized, and it's still unorganized. But this is what my concern is. So let's see. Where do I start from the beginning? My name is Mark D. Overholser, and I'm a CoCo nut, at least for the last few years. I didn't get my first CoCo until 2012. I'm really an Apple guy, and I got this Apple IIe Platinum with a bunch of stuff. And the guy also had this CoCo 3 brand new in the box he'd gotten for a correspondence course. He had the cassette tapes to it too. Never opened it, never used it, very beat up. American-made CoCo 3, and I thought, well, you know, I'm not really into Z80 computers, you know, so I'll take that, you know, get it off his hands. And then I realized, no, it's a Motorola. And it's like, oh, well. And those of you who don't know, the engineers that designed the Motorola 6800 and the supplemental chips, a bunch of them, 8 of them, left Motorola and went to MOS Technologies in Pennsylvania and built the 6502. So the key CPU that powers Apple IIs and Commodore 64s and the Ataris, 8-bit Ataris, are directly related to the 6809 that we use in the CoCo. So they're all family. Anyway, I get emotional because, well, I'm crazy. So anyway, there's commonality there. So the cool thing about the CoCo community and Dragon is that they are the underdogs. I mean, it's like Commodore and Atari and Apple, they have all this infrastructure and people, they figured there 10 million plus Commodore 64s were sold, which is an amazing number for a platform. It's just unto itself. I mean, PCs, yeah, well, it's because they're common. You know, everybody makes one, there's going to be them all over the place. Apple's 7.5 million, something like that. I don't know how many Ataris, but you know, there's a lot of machines. Back in the 80s, that was a lot of machines for something that wasn't common. And what do they figure? Maybe 3 million of the color computers. And you got the Dragon Data, and the Tano Dragons, and then the Brazilian clones. But you know, definitely a much smaller chunk of the big pie of stuff. But the community is great. I started out, and I got the CoCo 3. I got some more CoCos. Got a CoCo 2 and a CoCo 1. CoCo 1 didn't work, but it worked fine. I got another CoCo 2. I have 2 CoCo 2s, 2 CoCo 1, sorry, 4 CoCo 2s, 2 CoCo 1s, 2 CoCo 3s, and a Tano Dragon. And a bunch of Apple stuff still, and some Commodore stuff. But anyway, so that's kind of the background, came into it that way. But I'm always concerned, a habitual store stuff away, a hoarder, keep things, and I see information and it's like, oh, that's good, I need to save that. And in the recent years, it's really begun to stress me a little bit, is that there are a lot of people that start projects that are passion projects, that they provide value, they become value to the community, but then when they no longer can maintain them because something happens, they go away and then their resources go away. Some of you might know who Nick Marentes is. He's written a lot of games for the Model 1 and the Model 3, a lot for the color computer, even in recent years. He had his domain name, nickmarentes.com, hosted with a guy named Brian, I think it's Brian Palmer? Anyway, Brian died recently, and Nick had to jump through some hoops in order to get his stuff back and his domain name back. And so, you know, it's like once you've invested in stuff, you need to, you know, if it's important to you, it might be important to somebody else. So you need to prepare for what happens next, basically. So I've been thinking about this for the last few years, and thinking about the community and other communities. This is a quarterly publication for the Apple II called Juice.gs. Comes out every 3 months, usually January, April. Anyway, or I guess the end of the third. This is March 2023. This is last year's. But anyway, there's an article in here which has a lot of stuff I've been thinking about called Leaving a Legacy, Ensuring Your Apple Lives On. And so there's a very big case in point in here, the very first paragraph. So there was a programmer by the name of Bob Bishop, and his notable things in life is that he worked for Apple Computers, one of their engineers at one point. He wrote a demo that's on the Apple disk. If you've ever had an Apple II in school on the System Master disk, there was a thing called Apple Vision, and it draws this little line of a room and a thing, and it says Home Sweet Home, and it has a TV, and there's a little character that dances on the TV. That's Bob Bishop's little program that everybody got. More notably, what he did is he wrote a game called Dung Beetles. And it was really intriguing. I think it was 1981 when it was written. It has a screen that has these little mazes and these little pellets, and you have to eat the pellets. But when you eat the pellets, you leave another pellet. And there's enemies that eat those pellets. And it's really small, but there's this magnifier that slides around over the top. Well, that was ported to the CoCo. It's called Dung Beetles. Anyway, so Bob Bishop, when he died, basically nobody knew what to do with the stuff. There was no plan. Most of it went to dumpster. And so some of the stuff was saved. In this article here, it says that John and Brenda Romero. So John Romero id Software, Doom. John was an Apple guy. The four guys that started id Software, 3 of them were Apple software people, Apple IIs. So anyway, sorry, I get emotional about this. Anyway, so John and his wife, they saved a bunch of Bob Bishop stuff. Just this last year, Steve Bjork died. And he had mentioned verbally a few times to some of us on Discord. Discord is like a IRC, but it has voice and video, and you can text, send messages and stuff. And I'm one of the admins on the CoCo Discord. We chat with him over the years. He had mentioned that he wanted to donate his basically all his CoCo stuff to the Glenside Club, so it could be auctioned and gotten to people who would appreciate it. Somehow something got lost in the communication. A lot of it went to a estate sale and got auctioned. Some of it's been recovered, but at a high cost, like $7,000 in cost. Some of the stuff is here. I guess they're going to auction it somehow. It was acquired. I'm not sure where it came from. But somehow the plan wasn't carried out, what the person wanted. On the flip side, I don't know the exact whole story, but one of the local members, Bob Swoger, had a program called Logicall. And I talked to him a few years ago about it. It seems to be some sort of menu selection program so you can switch stuff. And I never did really get set up with that. But I found out after he had passed away that John Mark Mobley had acquired that. And he sent me a link to the Google Drive so you can get it. So if you're interested in Logicall, Bob's stuff is still available. I understand also that the local VCF Midwest, their warehouse has a bunch of his physical items. So it sounds like all of that stuff was handled well. His items have continued on. And that's what we would hope. At least that's what I would hope. So anyway, some of the stuff I've done research on my own, but there's also some great stuff in here that Ken Gagney, who wrote this, basically he talks about what do you do with your physical stuff. There are places that take donations. The Computer History Museum in Mountain View, California is listed here. The Strong National Museum of Play there in Rochester, I think, New York. Yeah, Museum of Art and Digital Entertainment in Oakland, California. And strangely, there's one in Bozeman, Montana, if anybody knows where that is. American Computer and Robotics Museum. Anyway, so there are places that might be interested in your stuff. And then he gets into intellectual property. I don't know what his name, Gilliam Major. So I don't know what his plan is. I probably should talk with him about that. The Color Computer Archive. What happens to that when he can't maintain it anymore? The CoCopedia that Alan Huffman. I've talked to Alan Huffman about this. His sub-ethablog and those. So do you have backups? Do you have somebody that can take over that stuff? It would be nice to have a plan so that when you can't do that stuff anymore, all those resources in the community can be passed on to somebody else. Jumping back to the Apple, there's a really great website called Apple Fritter that's run by a guy named Owen. Sorry, I haven't refreshed these names recently. I know lots and lots of trivial stuff. Owen, and I can't remember his last name right now, but a few years ago, I noticed on the webpage, Apple Fritter, on the upper right, it says 100-year plan. It's like, 100-year plan? Click on that. He realized that he's not going to live forever. And he basically formed a committee of 3 people. He's one of them. He has other people around the world that are part of his committee. They have access to his servers and the domain name and all the important stuff. And he said, the point is if any one person on the committee can't continue anymore, the other 2 people can find somebody else and nominate him. So it's a group thing, not a person thing. So their plan is to have the thing last 100 years. And I've always hoped, I'm one of the board members of the CoCo Nation. The weekly show that we do has become a group. It's always been a group effort, but now it's run by a group. So I am one of the 5 members. And I've talked to this a little bit, and I think they're okay with this. Maybe we should get in the business of, we have Patreon supporters who send money in. So we have a little bit of money that comes in. You'll need more. By the way, if you want to donate, Patreon, you can do that, or you can just send us a check. Oh, or you can sponsorship. So actually, Retro Rewind, one of the manufacturer in Canada, that stuff, they're one of our sponsors. And they pay us money every year. Thank you, Retro Rewind. Yes. Basically, yeah, exactly. It's a standard contract. It's like 1 ad per weekend, basically. Here's some money for you. So, Retro Rewind. We'll take more. Anyway, my idea would be, why not take on some domain hosting? We already have space for stuff. And if people need to pass their domains on, we can take over their stuff when no longer. and become kind of like a museum repository. And actually, we're thinking about turning the CoCo Nation into a 501c3 nonprofit, so donations and stuff. Because if other people would like to, specifically, I think I mentioned this, Mark Siegel, who worked as an engineer at Radio Shack, he said, you know, can you guys get set up so you could take part of my estate when I go on that gets donated to your effort? It's like, that'd be a good idea. So we're working on that. That's this year's project, is to get nonprofit status. Anyway, so I would like to take on websites so that all that information doesn't get lost. So the takeaway here, I'm sorry, this is very, very scattered. I don't have this all written up. I will write all this up, put it in a form, pull stuff out of Juiced as well as some other things I've discovered. Have a form, basically a pamphlet be download. Probably put it on the Glenside Club. So Glenside and the CoCo Nation, we collaborate quite a bit because, well, we have different areas we cover, but it's all part of the community. But have a thing you can download. I've seen some resources recently. There's I can't recommend them per se, but they look like a good idea. They're a kit. There's some place I saw on Facebook where they have like this kit you can get, and it's like a bin folder, and it has all these things you do. You fill out what to do with your property, what to do with all your assets, and so it's like all the precursor stuff you take to a lawyer and get all prepped. But your family is given your wishes in a box. Everything's all checked off, and so something like that would be a really good idea to do along with the rest of this stuff. Let's see, what else do I have about that? That's basically it. This is all about what to do with your stuff after you can't do stuff with your stuff anymore. There's also CoCo preservation as far as fixing things too. So that's important too. We have that on the CoCo Discord as well. There's a separate channel for that. We have a channel for everything, by the way. And I'm one of the people to blame for that because I like to segment everything nicely. By the way, if any of you ever do get on the CoCo Discord, discord.thecoconation.com will take you to a link. It's a free invite, but you do have to answer a few questions like what's your name and how are you interested in getting here. We have all these channels because you can mute the channels. So if you don't care about the Game On Challenge, you can turn that off so you don't get notifications on it. Or if you're not cared about the hardware, you can turn those off. So subscribe to the things you want, don't subscribe to the things you want. Most people are good about posting in the section that's related to what they're talking about. But we do drift occasionally. But anyway, it's a community. This is a great community. I love this community. That's why I show up every year. This is 2018, 19, 20, not 20, 21, 22, 23. I guess this is my 6th CoCoFest in a row. And I love being here. I love hanging out with people and chatting with people. And anyway, let's see. Did I cover all the major points? I think I did. My notes, I only have a few. I will write this all up. I will take everything that I can find and all the good ideas. I've had some people submit some good ideas. There's actually a channel called CoCo Preservation on the CoCo Discord. I've actually had some people submit some good ideas. I'll roll that all up along with attribution, put it in a thing you can download with any resources or links, ideas to what I know is there and what might be there, just so you'll have basically a laundry list you can go through. Because we'd hate to see you have something thrown out. I don't know how many of you are aware, but Kilgall, is it Bob? Bob Kilgall? Roger. What's his name? He lives in Michigan. He wrote a bunch of games for the color computer. Dino Wars? Yeah, I think so. Robert Kilgall. Okay. Kilgus, sorry, Robert Kilgus. Sorry, Kilgus. Yep. Too many names. Anyway, he was downsizing. Brian Weisler, who's one of our famed collectors who gets one of everything. Got to catch them all. Acquired his stuff. One of the things he had was a functioning deluxe CoCo, the one that was made after the 2, before the 3. And even better yet is it has an alpha ROM in it. It has like a 1.0007 ROM, which has got some interesting things. There's a full screen editor in there. Anyway, group of people been taking the thing apart, taking the ROM apart. 32K ROM, by the way. They actually got a little board that's got 4 8Ks in it. Figures in there. So there's some good stuff in there. So by the way, if you have MAME, you can run the deluxe CoCo on MAME. Latest builds a MAME. It's all in there. So Tim Lindner, who's the CoCo MAME guy. L. Curtis Boyle, OS9 guy, but it's also really good at debugging stuff. Of course, Brian Weisler, and he has his deluxe CoCo over on display. Go check it out. And there's a couple other people too. I don't remember the names offhand, sorry. I pay attention to a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of stuff. But here's something. Mark Siegel was like, he had a functioning working one, and it was like, we're not going to build this, destroy them all, shred. So he's he is really anxious to see it working. Chances are, Pedro Pena, Rocky Hill, who basically reverse engineered the CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 boards and you can print new circuit boards that form fit in. Probably he will take that and make a deluxe CoCo board that will be available, and then you'll be able to acquire the ROMs and all the other stuff and build yourself a deluxe CoCo and have actual hardware. So, preservation. It's a community effort. That's about all I had to really say. I mean, I don't know how I could fill up with anything else. I'll answer questions the best I can.
This might be a tangent.
Yeah.
The deluxe CoCo, what's just a couple attributes about it that are different than the CoCo 3?
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to remember. I think it had the full arrow keys. Radio Shack, when they ditched the deluxe CoCos, they kept the keyboards, and they were available at Radio Shack. You'd see the $20 or whatever it was keyboards in the bag. Those are from the deluxe CoCo.
The beta for the CoCo 3?
No, because it was kind of a continuation. They added a sound chip. It has an AY, separate sound chip, has AY. I think it had integrated serial too. Did it have a 6551? I don't remember. I've paid attention to so many different things. It had some built-in stuff though. It had some additional stuff in it. It also has I think it has like a built-in timer like the CoCo 3 does. So they got like a 60 hertz trigger, which is very handy for a lot of stuff. Yeah, something like it could be used for that. Yeah. So I don't think it had a real-time clock, but it had some additional hardware features. But I do know from, I think it was Mark Siegel, but it might have been somebody else. It might have been Steve Bjork. I do know that the CoCo 3 was developed because there was a cost reduction. They could actually build them for a few dollars, I'm talking a few, like $5 less than the CoCo 2. And so it got greenlit because, yeah, it would cost less.
You mean the CoCo Deluxe?
No, the CoCo 3. Yeah, I think the CoCo 2 was too much.
It's $5 less than
The manufacturing cost of the CoCo 3 was like $5 less than the manufacturing of the CoCo 2.
Okay.
So that was how it got greenlit, is because it was actually a little bit cheaper. But I think the deluxe CoCo probably broke that, and that's probably why it got canceled.
Okay.
Don't know for sure there, but that's what I kind of surmise. Like I said, I listen to all kinds of people about all kinds of things. So being that I'm on a weekly show and interface with all these people that are movers and shakers in the community, they are, and try to remember most of the names, except for Mr. Kilgus. Yeah, I hear things, know things, see things, talk to people. So but anyway, I think that's a roll-up if I to remember. And if I'm wrong, I know somebody will point it out. But anyway, it should be generally the right direction. Any other questions? Like I said, this is just about, think ahead and plan. And I'll try to gather you a whole bunch of notes so you don't have to figure it out from scratch. Like I said, I've got a starting point and a few other things that I've researched on my own, and I'll just roll them all together. Question? Because I'm doing this here at the Glenside at the CoCoFEST, I'll probably offer it to them to put on their website. But, I could probably put it on, the CoCo Nation has, of course, a Facebook. We have our own website. We have a Discord server is actually not really part of the CoCo Nation, but it was started by David Ladd, Mr. Floppy himself. But, we're all part of the same team, so it's all rolled together. So it's all of us. I mean, we're all together. But, we'll probably have it posted there as well, because there is a CoCo Legacy channel on the Discord. So I'll post it there, put it on the Glenside Club, because, I'm presenting it here. And, I'll give credit where credit's due, and I'm just, one more member of the community. And we'll announce it. I'm sure we'll announce it on the CoCo Nation show. Does that seem reasonable? I'm not making any money here, and I'm just going to give it away. It's like, I want to make sure.
People know where they can find it when it's written.
Okay, and if you all know, then you can point people the right direction. I'm doing that all the time. So people ask, oh, where's this? Where's that? Any other questions?
So one goal is to kind of make a digital museum, right?
No, that would be a thing. Like I said, I guess you could call something like the CoCopedia or that a digital museum. It is.
And the other main goal is just make sure it doesn't go in a dumpster. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It passes on to anybody.
Yeah, and there may not be much reason. There's some stuff that's so common, maybe it just needs to be recycled. But there are some rare things. I mean, like this deluxe CoCo, it's like Boise Pete, Mr. OS9, and Microware. He has a couple of the deluxe CoCos, but there's some of the very early ones. They don't have any special ROMs. They're just the hardware, part of the hardware. This is the one that Brian Weisler has now, is literally, I think, the only one that's survived that we know about so far that has anything close to what the end product would have looked like. So that's archaeological find.
Bodyguard.
Yep. Yeah, well, he's got stuff backed up, and it's really messy. But like I said, the thing is that they've started reverse engineering the hardware. Of course, they're reverse engineering the software. MAME has it. You can run it now on MAME, latest versions. Yeah, like I said, Pedro Pena has done a really good job of building the CoCo 3 and CoCo 2 boards that are available. His are actually part of this larger project, which is a whole reverse engineering thing of all the various systems. All these various systems have been available on GitHub. And so it'd be cool if he could take that and mod it into, or somebody could mod it into a deluxe CoCo, and then bring what the hardware looks like along with the software. And then it's like you could build one and stick it in a CoCo 2 case or a CoCo 3 case, and you'd have your own.
I told my wife if I'd ever die, like, don't sell my CoCo at a garage sale for $10.
Exactly.
Go on eBay and get $350 for it at least. And I said most of the junk I got in those boxes are,
Yeah.
price them on eBay before you do anything with them. So
Yeah, anything else.
Like that.
Or if you know somebody. I told my wife, I said, she knows David Ladd. I said, ask Mr. Ladd. And I told Mr. Ladd just last night, I have a few things that are probably worth a little bit to the right people, so please be looking for those. Some of my stuff is not that great, but it works, it's functional, and I like it. So nice and noisy. Anyway, we'll fix that in post. So, did I mention about lapel mics? So anyway, any other questions? Like I said, I've been kind of scattered. I'm actually only had about, last night I guess I got 5 hours, so I have about 7 hours in the last 48 hours of sleep. So anyway, so I'm feeling kind of run down at the moment, and I had planned to write the stuff up, but I never got it written up, but I will get it written up because, yeah, it's important.
Good presentation.
Okay, thank you. I gave it a best effort, and the important thing is, plan ahead. So where are we at? Wow, it lasted a whole 20 minutes, so I don't know if I can stretch it out anymore. Is there anything else anybody wants to know? Any questions?
Was it Brian Palmer passed away?
Yes, Brian Palmer. Yeah, thank you. That was.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was only 51.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because he emailed me probably about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing up. I'm surprised so many people came. So.
It was either Brian or it was, because his email service got spammed, and I kept getting spam email from him too. So.
Yeah, it was Brian Palmer. So.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, Extructus Productions was. So yeah, Nick Berenti's had his stuff hosted through him, and so luckily Nick got his domain name back. So that could have been a real hassle. Yeah. No, you're welcome.